Now that the Nintendo Switch 2 has finally been revealed, everyone has already moved on to overanalyzing the hardware trailer or has moved on to biding their time until the April 2nd Nintendo Direct. I for one am happy that now that the system has been revealed, we can finally move on to talking about what really is going to make or break this new system, the games. The build up to the Switch 2's release is still in its infancy. While we don't know all that much officially from Nintendo themselves, we do have a pretty good idea of what is on the horizon for Nintendo's next hybrid system. So this is every game we think is coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. For this video, I wanted to split it into two parts, one being games all but confirmed to be coming from either Nintendo themselves or from hints from the developers, and then also rumored games to be on the horizon based off of insider information or other sources. So let's start with all the games that are all but confirmed to be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. Starting with the one that Nintendo showed off themselves being Mario Kart 9 or just a new Mario Kart game. Like the Switch hardware reveal trailer itself, this 30-ish second clip has been overanalyzed by other YouTubers that have way more time than I do to go through all the weeds with this stuff. A couple of big things is that we just know that there's going to be what looks like 24 racers at one time, which is just going to make things a lot more chaotic, but it makes sense that Nintendo would want to have one of its biggest intellectual properties available right from the start. And if the sales for this game are anything like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it will probably go on to be the most played game on the Nintendo Switch 2. Our next confirmed game is Bestiario, a cel-shaded JRPG that's inspired by Spanish mythology and Japanese franchises like Persona and Final Fantasy. Next up is My Time at Evershine, the sequel to My Time at Sandrock and My Time at Portia. According to their successfully backed Kickstarter campaign, My Time at Evershine is coming to future Nintendo platforms yet to be announced. So unless they're planning on bringing this to the Nintendo Alarmo, I think it's a pretty safe bet that this game will be headed over to the Switch 2. Next up is Yooka-Laylee, which is a remaster of Yooka-Laylee, which came out in 2017, also from a successful Kickstarter backing. A spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie, which happens to be my favorite game of all time. And while I really enjoyed Yooka-Laylee, it definitely didn't live up to the hype, in my opinion. Don't come after me if you think differently on that. But this game is getting a remaster for PS5 and Xbox Series X, and according to their trailer, it also said Nintendo on it instead of Nintendo Switch, which has led everyone to believe that this game is also coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, hopefully also coming out in 2025. Our next couple of games are kind of a gimme, you know, like Nintendo has announced games that are coming out this year that more than likely either going to have a version for the Switch and the Switch 2, or they're just going to be cross-compatible. I think it's a pretty safe bet. So when you're thinking about the Switch 2's first year lineup, you do have to include Metroid Prime 4, and you also have to include Pokemon Legends ZA. It could be a little while before we see any more information on Metroid Prime 4. I would imagine probably at the Switch 2 Direct in April, but with Pokemon Legends ZA, there's a pretty good chance that we will be seeing this game at the Pokemon Presents that's going to be at the end of February, which will be around 1 year since they first showed Pokemon Legends ZA, and that's all we've had to go off. We don't have like expected release dates for either one of those games. I could really see Metroid Prime 4 kind of being the Switch and Switch 2's big holiday release, especially if we're getting Mario Kart at the beginning. And once we get over to our rumored games, we might have another Mario related subject to talk about. But a couple more games that we know will be coming along with the Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon Legends ZA. We also do have Professor Layton's A New World of Steam, which will be coming out sometime this year too. So if you enjoy Professor Layton puzzle games, you got something to look forward to. And of course, this is just the beginning, right? So there's a lot of other game reveal events happening even before the April Direct. We might even be getting a regular Nintendo Direct for just the regular Switch before then. So this list is subject to change, and I'm sure by the time we actually get a full list of what 2025 is going to look like for Nintendo's next system, we're probably going to be really surprised with it. Anyway, let's jump on to the rumored games, because those always seem to get people a little ruffled up. I think a really safe one though is there is probably going to be a new 3D Mario. As everyone likes to point out, this is the 40th anniversary of Mario, so it makes sense they would want to have something ready to go for it, especially also we're getting a Mario movie 2 potentially next year. So if you push out a Mario game towards the end of the year, it's out roughly around the same time as the movie, so that makes sense. I don't think it's probably going to be Odyssey 2 though. I think they will probably just take it in a completely different direction, so like Galaxy 3 or something. Now, a lot of this is going to be coming from, internet rumors and hearsay, and you really got to fact check some of these people, but we're going to go through all of them, because if even a third of this list is correct, we're going to be cooking with the Switch 2. So let's go through all of them. Final Fantasy VII Remake coming out this year, which is also rumored to be coming out on the Xbox Series as well, with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth launching next year. They've been talking forever about Final Fantasy VII Remake coming to other platforms, so it makes sense that they would, when they decide to do it, they're going to do it for all the systems, so that checks out. Metal Gear Solid Delta coming out as well. It would be surprising to see a new Metal Gear game come out for a Nintendo system, because I'm pretty sure it's been a very long time since that's happened. As far as Ubisoft goes, it is rumored that they are going to be porting over the Mario plus Rabbids games, which that checks out. It could go one of two ways, kind of like some of the other stuff here, where of course your current version of the game is going to work on the new system, but maybe they try to sell like a double pack with enhanced features, or they kind of do like what PlayStation does and they sell a $10 upscale pack or something, so that way you don't have to buy a full new copy of the game. Next up is Rainbow Six Siege, and I know this game's got a big following, or at least it used to. I don't hear people talk about it as much, but I'm still kind of in the camp of I don't know how I feel about first-person shooters on the Switch, at least with the current Switch. Maybe when the Switch 2 comes out, I'll be singing a different tune about it, but those games are very, cooperative based. They're fast paced as well. So thinking about the Nintendo Switch or Switch 2 as being the system where I do something like that, I don't know. I would love to see it happen, but I'm not holding my breath on this type of game coming out unless there really is some in-depth voice chat something or other baked into the Switch 2's operating system. And of course, Assassin's Creed. Ubisoft always tries to put Assassin's Creed games on Nintendo platforms as long as they'll run them. I think it's very safe to think that Assassin's Creed Mirage will be there probably really close to launch, and their upcoming game Assassin's Creed Shadows will probably get ported over at some point, but I doubt that it'll be available at the console's launch, because that game has just gotten delayed to March, I believe, and I'm sure it's probably going to take some time for them to get a port ready for the Switch 2. And here come the really fun ones for me, because outside of being a super diehard Nintendo fanboy, I am kind of a Microsoft fanboy as well. I love all my systems. One franchise I hold near and dear to my heart, and that's Halo. I grew up playing Halo with my friends online, playing the 4-player couch co-op on the Xbox. You know how it is. And I love Halo the Master Chief Collection. I love it. That game had such a rough start, and they really turned it around, and I really appreciate everything that it is. However, I still don't know how I feel about it potentially coming to other systems. As much as I would love to play Halo on the go on a Switch 2, it's just one of those things that just doesn't sit right in my soul a little bit. That would be like Mario coming to Xbox. Hopefully though, if it does come, if it runs well, maybe the rumored mouse pointer controls will work as a part of the shooting, so you can kind of get like a I don't know how you're going to play this game with a mouse and not a keyboard, but I'm very intrigued to see how Nintendo handles stuff like that, if that is the direction that they're going in. But let me know in the comments, how do you feel about one of Xbox's biggest intellectual properties going third party? Of course, I could talk at end's length about it, but we do know that in some capacity, Call of Duty will be coming to Nintendo platforms for at least the next 10 years. It's very possible that Black Ops 6 launches day and date with the system if they have a port ready, or they could wait out for Call of Duty 2025, which is a rumored remaster of Call of Duty Black Ops 2. which is very funny to me if it is Black Ops 2 because that was a launch title for the Wii U. So it's wild to me that in the skipping one console generation, one of the, in my opinion, better Call of Duty games is getting remastered for Nintendo's next system. That would be really fun if that comes out to be true. A couple other games we've got here, Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush, already which have gone multi-platform in the middle of last year. Both of them only made their way to PlayStation. If they're porting them out to PlayStation, it makes sense that they're going to port those to the Switch as well. And these next two are very outlandish. First one's Elden Ring, a definitive edition of Elden Ring running on Switch 2. I would love to see it. I would triple dip on Elden Ring. I would. But think about this. And I'm not an angry gamer at all, right? But there are a lot of people that are angry gamers. There are a lot of people that like to throw their controllers when they get mad at video games. And games like Elden Ring and other FromSoft titles, in my opinion, kind of make people mad more than your average game does. So hopefully people can hold themselves together if they're playing Elden Ring on their $400+ next generation handheld and don't decide to go full angry mode and throw their system or their really expensive Joy-Cons, if nothing else, in the process of that. It would be really fun to play it. Hopefully, though, it runs well, because if it runs like butt, which I don't think it will, but if it did, it would make that game way more challenging to play than most other games. And our final rumored game, this is a big one. That's Grand Theft Auto 6 or Grand Theft Auto 5. I could see the Switch 2 getting a hold of Grand Theft Auto 5, but it almost makes sense to not port that to the Switch 2, because as soon as GTA 6 comes out, it's going to be almost like dead over there on GTA 5 Online, which is what most people would play it for. Maybe GTA 6 is just so well optimized that it can run on the Switch 2. That would be insane, first off. As long as it has crossplay, I think that would be really fun, or cross saves, if not even crossplay. You could work on your online stuff solo while you're on your Switch, and as soon as you get home, you could play on the big screen on something else if you got access to it. I would love that. I think it'd be really cool if it can run. I don't need no GTA 6 cloud version or anything like that. And finally, I want to bring up some games that I don't think anyone's talking about right now that are very likely to be coming to the Switch 2 at launch or shortly after launch. There's no information out about this, but it just comes down to like what Nintendo likes to do with their systems whenever they first release. And that's about what the pack-in game is. And, you know, with the Nintendo Switch, we didn't get a pack-in game. They sold us a pack-in game called 1-2 Switch to mixed reviews. The Wii U came with Nintendo Land, which I thought was a great game. And of course, Wii Sports. That's the other big one. One of the best-selling games of all time because Nintendo packed it in with every Wii. I think they'd be crazy not to put a pack-in game with the Switch 2 in some capacity. I think they should bring back Nintendo Land, but that's just me. Or something else along that line. If nothing else, maybe Mario Kart 9 could be the pack-in game if they decide to make a bundle with it or something like that. But they got to have something like that at launch that kind of has like the gimmick behind it that shows off like all the cool things that the new controller features can do. Like the mouse optical sensors, if that's real, or whatever else they want to put on there, like the C button, if that's still a real thing, or for whatever that new button is. They innovated, now they need to make a game that showcases all the fun stuff. Hopefully they don't try to sell it to us though again. Hopefully it just comes included. And then of course, they always like to put out a sports/exercise game as close as they can to launch. I know that Ring Fit Adventure came out kind of late in the Switch's life cycle, but you had stuff like your Just Dances and other things to get you active that were there at launch. And then Ring Fit Adventure just came out of nowhere, ended up selling like crazy. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Ring Fit Adventure show up at some point within the first 12 months of the Switch 2, because they're going to have to make new accessories that fit the new Joy-Cons, right? So why not just make a new game? And finally, I couldn't end this video without bringing up The Legend of Zelda. That is something that doesn't get brought up a lot in the Switch 2 launch lineup conversation, but it is worth pointing out that with the exception of 1 year of the Switch's lifecycle, in some capacity, there was a Legend of Zelda game released for the Nintendo Switch every year from 2017 to 2024, again, except for 2022. Whether it's a remake, a port, or like a, your Hyrule Warriors kind of thing, or Cadence of Hyrule, something along those lines. So it's entirely possible that we get something Zelda related this year also. I don't want to will a Wind Waker port or Twilight Princess port into existence if I can avoid it, because I think they should just do it. If I had to pick though, give me Ocarina of Time Remaster. But that's just wishful thinking. It's more than likely we'll get something probably smaller Zelda related this year. But either way though, if you think about it, if everything I talked about in this video, if you pick 5 things out of this entire list to be true, outside of what we already know, you're talking really stacked. Like, I mean, a new Pokemon, Metroid, Mario Kart, potentially a 3D Mario, potentially Halo, potentially a new Zelda, or Call of Duty. I mean, this system's got a stacked first year, which compared to the Switch 1 had a killer first year out. And that was without the massive third-party support because everyone was so scared of it being another Wii U. Now, you had some things that show up, right? But nothing compared to what we might be getting with the Switch 2. So this is a very exciting year to be a Nintendo gamer. I hope you're as looking forward to this as I am, because my wallet's gonna hurt by the end of this year. It's gonna sting so bad with everything that I might end up buying for this thing. But that'll do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if this is your first time here. We've got plenty of Switch 2 coverage coming as things develop, and I hope to see you around for more videos. In the meantime, take care.